I don't want to lift heavy weights because I do not want to look like a bodybuilder. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. Let me get a sip of my water first. Get my beautiful radio voice going and let's talk about this. All right, people use this line all the time. It is a classic line of a reason they don't want to lift. All of us in the lifting world, coaches, experts, everyone else, we know it's nonsense. The average person doesn't. The problem is that a lot of fitness professionals give a really trite response that doesn't actually address it. They like to give an analogy. The two analogies I always hear are, that would be like saying, I don't want to play golf because I might become as good as Tiger Woods one day. But they're not understanding, they're seeing this as a negative thing. Being as good of a golfer as Tiger Woods very well might happen if you go take golf lessons, if you're just insanely potentially skilled at golf. Like you might actually do that, okay? Because practicing golf is how you get there. Anyone see the problem? Lifting weights is not how you look like a bodybuilder, not like a pro bodybuilder. You will never, ever, 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 ever reach that goal by lifting weights. Okay, another one they like to use. I don't want to learn to drive because I might end up as an F1 formula driver. Well, again, not necessarily a good analogy because these keep going back to professions. These people are talking about a physical change in their body. So let's talk about something with substance. It would be like saying, if we want to spin it positive, I don't want to go get a job and work because I might accidentally end up with $10 million in my bank account. That would be the equivalent. If we want to see muscle tissue as a positive thing. Now, to the average person, if you said that, they would be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So to me as a strength coach, when you say that about the bodybuilder, yes, it is that level of ignorance. You don't become a multimillionaire accidentally because you went and got a job at McDonald's flipping burgers. Okay? Not how it works. It takes a lot more than working a job 40 hours a week to make $10 million. There's a lot more to it than that. A lot of outside sources. It's not just how hard, just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to have 10 million. Or it would be like saying, hey, you know, I kind of like some nicer flower beds in my house, but I don't want to get a spade and start digging a hole to plant flowers in my flower bed because it might create a massive sinkhole and my whole house falls into it. Again, the average person would laugh. They say, that's ridiculous. There's no way with just a spade you could, you know, come and dig a bit. I mean, maybe in theory, if you really spent a lot of time, you might dig a really big hole with just a little hand spade. Think of that weightlifting. But you shouldn't be worried about your whole house falling into it. That would never happen. Lifting weights will never make you look like a pro bodybuilder. Okay. Before we even get into the other end of how many years and years and years and years and years of dedicated hard work, like here's what I would say. Man, when you get to where you're repping 500 pounds on the deadlift, which for most of you will never happen, that's why people laugh. When you're lifting what I lift, rep out 500 pounds on the deadlift, rep out 315 on a bench, do high rep weighted chin-ups with a 45-pound plate around my waist. I do this at 47. If you get there and you start going, you know, I'm starting to get a little big. Maybe don't add more weight or reps. Just stop training for progress. Probably want to back off on your syringe use too at that point. Might be a good idea. You know, again, if you don't want to get too big, don't use a lot of PEDs. Okay, so then we come over to the obvious problem. Pro bodybuilders, number one, are genetic freaks. So we need to be clear on that. Those guys, they're not normal average guys genetically, first of all. Odds are statistically you do not have the genes to even get that big if you did everything that they did. So get that out of your head right up front, right? Number two, the lifestyle itself. Is your whole life going to revolve around lifting, eating, training? Are you going to have a normal job? I wouldn't worry about this then. Number 3, the ridiculous, obsessive, insane, absolutely insane level of PED use. And I don't think people quite grasp this when they look at pro bodybuilders. They're not understanding. Their head oftentimes go, okay, yeah, they're obviously on some stuff. That would be like saying that Willie Nelson or Snoop Dogg may have smoked a joint one time in their life. That's the equivalent. The average pro bodybuilder, and again, we can look at autopsies. So again, you want to know extremes. Look at the autopsy results and do the math on the toxicology for Dallas McCarver. One of the only guys to get big enough to be a top pro open bodybuilder in his early 20s, like the youngest guy to ever get a pro card. How did he do it that fast? Man, it takes other guys 20 years who are on massive amounts of stuff because he used more stuff, and it killed him at 27. He dropped dead. He dropped dead at 27 when these other guys who were that big are still making it to 40 before they start having all the problems. Again, just look at his testosterone levels on the blood work. Look at what other people who knew him said he used with other stuff. His testosterone levels were 100 times normal. 100 times normal. So you guys, I want you to remember what you were like when you were 18 years old. So imagine 100 times that amount. I do mean that literally. That is not an exaggeration. That is the literal number on the toxicology, on the blood work, published data that you can find. 100 times the normal healthy level. 100. Then all the other stuff. Okay, the average pro bodybuilder uses insane amounts of androgen, so that would be testosterone, steroids. Insane amounts. They use insane amounts of insulin for the nutrient partitioning because it shuttles glucose and amino acids into muscle cells. Okay, and whole cocktails of things. They are a walking science experiment, sometimes using doses of substances that have never been tested in humans at 20 times the dose ever given to a horse or a cow. They take things that have been tested in humans at sometimes 20, 30, 50 times the amount that has ever been tested in a human being by a scientist or a doctor. Okay, so in other words, you're thinking, okay, this one pill, so 50 of it. So when you look at it from that perspective, and I do mean that literally, that is not an exaggeration. There is absolutely zero possibility that could even happen in your wildest dreams that you would lift weights and even reach half of their muscle gain. It will not, simply will not happen. So just stop. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.